And welcome to the HS Game Time Live Blitz. I'm Fernandez. This is the big ticket KG Kyle Glaser. And of course, we all know this guy on the end, Centennial head coach Matt Logan. Coach, thanks for stopping by. We really appreciate your time. And we're going to talk about your season as a whole and also going forward. You got some great players coming back as well.
Yes, thank you. It was a good run. We really, thought we played really hard, against a really talented team, and that's the way it goes. And but we gave it our best.
Yeah, speaking of Bosco, I was at that game as well, and I've seen a lot of high school football from the Oregon border down here to the IE. That Bosco team might have been the best I've ever seen. I mean, where do they stack up on some of the teams that you've played, including the De La Salle teams?
I'm really interested to see how they do this week against De La Salle. I haven't seen De La Salle play this year, but kind of know what they bring to the party. So it had to have been probably one of the most talented teams that I've seen, and not just talented, but physical and fast. They had the whole package. They didn't have any weak spots.
Now, Coach, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Concord De La Salle versus St. John Bosco. Who you got?
I have not seen De La Salle, but I think teams would be very hard pressed to match up to Bosco. I mean, I could go either way, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bosco won.
Now, Coach, take us through the season. Just overall, what do you make of it? What are you going to remember the most?
I think a team that maybe kind of wasn't sure where they were, or maybe thought a little too high of themselves, and that ended up an understanding that we need to come together as a team in order to do this, that football is the ultimate team sport, and they ended up, doing that.
Is that going back to when you removed the C's from the helmets and the names and that
yes,
kind of a turning point? I mean, did you see that as a turning point?
I think so. It was either we're going to go one way or the other. We were already heading down, so it was either going to continue to go down or we were going to try to, get better. And so we felt like we had to do some drastic measures in order to wake our kids up and make them see, how this game is supposed to be played.
Coach, how did you guys decide on that as the punishment, taking the C's and the nameplates off?
I had thought about it with long ride home from Alamany. One good thing, I guess, about a long bus ride is you get some time to reflect and think. So I did that. I thought about it. I was texting and talking with a couple coaches that night, wanted to sleep on it, and then came in Sunday to our meetings and said, this is what we need to do. And the coaches agreed. Thought it was a good idea.
Was it the idea that they weren't playing up to the expectations of a Centennial, didn't deserve to wear the C?
Correct, exactly. Not playing with the pride and passion and the expectation levels that we have, that what we expect from our performance. Not winning. We didn't discuss winning or losing. We didn't discuss that. It was just about the level of expectation of play.
Now, Coach, believe it or not, I didn't pick you guys to lose every week. I didn't. I really didn't. I know it said Vista Marietta in the paper for the Inland Division Championship game, but Kyle, you're my witness. I picked Centennial on this show that week.
That was a typo on his end.
I picked Centennial on the show.
I admit, I did pick Vista, and you guys pulled it out. It was a great performance by your defense. I mean, do you feel like that was the most inspired defensive performance you guys had all year?
Probably, yeah. I think so, and I think that they just, flat out, the coaches came up with a good scheme, the defense coaches, and our kids executed it.
How proud of you of another CIF championship? You're just piling up now.
Oh, it's great. Somebody said, is one better than the other? I said, well, it's kind of like your kids. You love them all. They're all a little different, but you love them all. They're all great.
Now, Coach, through the years, you guys have been able to replace a lot of your star talent, especially at the quarterback position. Now Robert Weber's gone. Who's the future at quarterback for you?
We'll have a good competition. We actually, believe it or not, have 6 kids that are coming back as quarterbacks, and that'll be vying for that spot. They've come a long way in their growth, and we continue to hope to see that. They're pretty young in terms of experience and in level. So it could be possibly a sophomore or junior that might take the spots, or maybe a senior. We'll have to see how it works out.
And Coach, looking forward, I think in that Bosco game we saw 2 of the top sophomores in the entire state. I can't wait to see these guys as seniors. And your guy, J.J. Taylor, who does pretty much everything for you guys, and also that Sean McGrew running back who's lightning fast. I could not believe it. Yeah. Sean McGrew's an incredible player and was much faster than, I think, much faster live than what I think he shows on film, but he's still fast either way. And, we're excited to have J.J. J.J. can do so many things as he return kicks, and he'll have the ball in his hands a lot like next year.
Do you think he'll be your primary running back?
Yes, he will.
Return kicks, still DB, or you didn't,
we'll try to? Yeah, we might need him at DB. I mean, that's just kind of what happened this year. As that's where our need was, so we put him in over there, and he was awesome, incredible player. He can probably play. He can probably do anything.
Now, Coach, moving forward, there's always this talk about, is Centennial going to maybe get a shot, move to the Pac-5 a little bit, anything like that? Do you know of anything in the works in terms of you guys' division status?
I don't. I'm not really privy to that. I am on the CIF committee for the first time this year, started this fall, and but they haven't really talked divisions or anything like that. And I don't really know how all that inner workings works. I just know that we'll play in whatever league or division they put us in. That's just the way it goes.
We got some video, Coach, of the Bosco game playing right now. When you guys went to the half tied at 21, kind of stole all that momentum. The Centennial side, the fans were going nuts. Did you feel like, you know, you got to come out of the locker room and not let Bosco get that first punch in, because they started quick and they came out of the locker room quick?
Yeah, and they sure got that first punch in. I think they got a couple punches in before we responded.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it wasn't quite the second half we wanted. But I was proud of the way the kids battled back. And then we were within 14, I think, late in the third quarter or early fourth quarter, and had a chance, you know, and had them in a third and long situation on their own territory. I thought that was the key play in that game. They ended up converting that first down and then scored, I think, the next play. So that kind of put the lead back up to 21. But that was our opportunity, I felt like, to get back into it, was that particular moment.
Coach, on film, just from our vantage point, it looked like Bosco's line really won the battle, particularly their guards. How did you feel, you know, your line performed against those heavies?
You know, it's just they kind of just like engulfed us, swallowed our defenders. You know, we're watching film, and you know, there's a 330-pound guard on our, you know, 200-pound linebacker. You know, I think the amazing thing was, like, I was thinking about it afterwards, is they just didn't have any normal high school kids. You know, every guy on there was like a dude. You know,
it was like 4-star, 5-star. You know, USC. Where's he going?
I mean, I definitely had my share of players. And,
yeah,
you know, never gonna complain. But I think for every one I had, they had 4. So that was amazing. They didn't have a 5'11", 200-pound 3.2 kid that lives next door that does everything right. You know, he didn't have any of those guys. You know, he's had all these incredible athletes. So it was pretty amazing to see that team.
Now, I caught up with one fan in the stands. He had a sign that said "Logan for mayor." I mean, they love you at Centennial. You're doing a great job there. Did you see that guy? Was it Robert Weber's dad?
It was not Robert Weber's dad.
Okay,
I did see the guy. Yes.
Yeah.
I gave him a wave. We had a good laugh. So.
Yeah, you did see him, or?
Yeah, I saw him at halftime when we came out.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
After the game, obviously emotional for your seniors. A lot of them were taking it hard, as you might expect. You had a smile on your face. I mean, do you, when in that situation, when your season ends like that, do you just kind of reflect on the good times and try to, you know, encourage them in that way?
Yeah, you know, and we do at the end of our season, whenever it concludes, you know, sometimes we are able to do it on a Wednesday night of practice. We do what's called our senior tunnel when we say goodbye. So if the season ends at a game, then we'll do it there, and that's what we saw. So we had all the underclassmen line up, all the coaches line up, and I get to see each kid first. Each senior comes through, and I get to say some things to them, and then they move on down the line, and they get to say stuff to the underclassmen and vice versa, and then the other coaches get their opportunity to see the coach as well, because that's the last time we're going to be on the field together as a team.
Coach, I want to take a long-term view here. You guys set some more records this year in terms of yardage. You know, when you started, you didn't go to the spread offense. The first couple years were, you know, so-so. You moved over to the spread, and it's been better every year. Tell us about that transition. Take us all the way back. Why did you decide to go to the spread way back in the day?
Well, when I was an assistant coach at Esperanza High School, we played Los Alamitos every year. It was our big rival. And I used to have a decent throwing arm, so I would always play the scout quarterback. And so I would be showing the cards, you know, to the scout offense. And I thought to myself, gosh, if somebody could, you know, develop a run game out of this spread formation, I think it would be pretty potent. And that was kind of the philosophy I took. And so as soon as I became a head coach, we started messing with it, you know. And in the first 2 years, we had a tight ends, bring in some 2-backs, different stuff. Then finally, we just, you know, sold out completely in 1999 to having 4 wide receivers and going with it. So, you know, it's been a work in progress. It still is. We add little things, take away things too. That's important. You don't just keep adding. And each year to try to get better and better, and what might fit our personnel a little bit better for that particular year.
Has there been a specific tweak you've made in the past couple of years you think that's elevated you guys to another level?
No, I think, honestly, I'm going to give that credit to Robert Weber. I think he's such a great decision maker. On any play, he has minimum 2 to 3, sometimes 4 reads that he's got to execute. And that involves from even making sure we're in the right play. I said, it's your job to make me look good, Robert. You know, you make sure you get us in the right play against that defense. So, you know, he's just a tremendous football player, number one. And number 2, has such a great football IQ. He knows our offense. I mean, if he wants to coach, he'd probably be a great coach one day.
We were talking about the Bosco game, Coach, and the fact that Mater Dei did not score a single offensive touchdown in 2 contests against Bosco. You guys put 49 points on them. That's got to say something, right, about what you guys were able to do, not only, you know, in that game, but all season long with this offense.
Well, thanks. We appreciate that. We don't really take moral victories. We lost that game, and it's a team effort. But, you know, I guess, you know, if you look at it from that perspective, yeah, you know, it is a pretty good accomplishment, for, you know, scoring the most points that they had given up all year. You know, we did have a lot of opportunities, though, as well. So we had a lot. I think we ran over 100 plays in a game, which is ridiculous. I think double what we normally get. So we definitely had our opportunities to do that. But, you know, very proud of what we accomplished as a team, and offensively was pretty special with the incredible records that we were, you know, set this year.
Coach, you guys had a lot of stars on both sides of the football this year coming in that everyone knew about. Who's a guy that maybe improved the most from, preseason practice to the end of the year?
Eric Laughlin. He came in and filled in for Devontae McNeely, who had broke his ankle the first day of pads and was told he was done for the year, ended up coming back. But Eric stepped into that role and just played phenomenal. We didn't know he had that in him. It was great that he got his opportunity and he took advantage of it.
And, Coach, before we let you go, let me ask you about wearing the number 55 on your helmets for Santiago's Jordan Walker. You guys have done that several games. You had him on, for the Bosco game as well, the 55. You even had the teal ribbon on your shirt. I mean, even though it's an opposing team, a rival, you guys still got in there. And, it's all a football family, I guess, in the end, right?
Yeah, it's a highly unfortunate event that happened with him, and it tugs at all of our hearts. A lot of our kids are friends with him. A lot of our kids went to elementary school, played youth football with him, and know him personally, know the family. And I've heard nothing but, I don't know him personally, I've heard nothing but great things about what a great kid he is. And it's just unfortunate. And we're all hoping that the prayers, the thoughts, and all those things will just help him heal.
And I think you even have is it a Jordan Walker bracelet on right there?
Yeah, yes.
So, and this is a good time to remind everyone, the fundraiser is actually tonight. So if you're watching the Blitz live, there's a fundraiser at pole position right here in Corona from 6 to 9 p.m. There's going to be raffle items. There's auction items as well. So you can go down there and please help out the Jordan Walker family as they are, have a lot of medical expenses building up at this point. Well, Coach, you had a fabulous season, and we always love having you on, and I'm going to pick Centennial to win every game next year. I promise. I promise.
It usually works better when you do the other way.
Go pick it. There's several teams that have said that.
It's just his motivation.
I was real disappointed when you picked this for Bosco.
I know. I'll take that. I'll fall on the grenade for that one.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you, Coach. You're the best. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, well.
All right, you're free to go, Coach. You're a busy guy. Probably game planning for next season already.
Yeah, the famous Matt Logan, there he is. It's really
Here, let's just scoot over just a little bit. We're going to bring another guy on pretty soon.
Yeah, Matt Logan, it's really interesting. You talk to a lot of coaches in the area, even the guys that have to play him and don't like playing Centennial. They talk about how important he is in the Corona, general Riverside County area. Just having a coach like that who's so accomplished and so innovative and really gotten so much national respect. I mean, he's a guy that national commentators at the college level are aware of. That's a good thing for this entire area. And I think it's really cool that on the one hand, you have Matt Logan, this almost beacon, this symbol of Riverside County football that he's become.
Absolutely.
But he's also, a really good guy. He's one of those guys returns every phone call. And, go out to practices, you see he cares about the 80th kid on his roster as much as the top kid. And so I think that it's important that our, coach that everyone looks to is also a quality human being.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you, Kyle. And he's also good to the media. I've gone out to some football practices where the coach will say, you can't shoot video of this or this guy's off limits. You walk in mid-practice. What do you want? Do you want to, stop my practice right now? Do you want this guy? I mean, whatever you want, I can do.
It's one of those things, some coaches say, we don't want to put our stats on max preps because I'll give the other team an advantage. Yeah. It's like, really? Because Centennial and Vista Marietta have been they keep the best stats in the area and they do just fine. It's the whole idea of being secretive. My whole thing is, and that's what I like is I feel like a lot of those coaches who are super secretive.
Yeah.
You know what? If us taking a photo of one practice set you run or putting your numbers online that's not what caused you to lose. You're going to lose anyway if that's what you think is going to make you lose. It's guys like that who are open and just like, come on in, do whatever. It's almost a confidence like, we'll still win. You can take a photo of us, doesn't matter.
We all know what Centennial does and what they do well, and they're still effective. They still win ball games. Matt Logan, one of the best, and we really appreciate him joining us on the show and reflecting back on another good season for the Huskies. And Kyle, I got a graphic. Let's punch this up one more time so people know about it. It's the Jordan Walker fundraiser, 6 to 9 tonight. So if you're watching the show live, it's tonight, Wednesday night, December 18th from 6 to 9 p.m. at pole position. That's like the real fast go-karts and as we mentioned, raffle items, auction items, a lot of good stuff, a lot of sports memorabilia that's been signed. So head out there and see if you can help out the Santiago football family and most importantly, Jordan Walker. All right, and we've got Coach Gorham standing by to join us in just a second. We're going to talk Nordivista boys basketball. But I got to punch up this picture real quick before we move on, Kyle, because I promised some of the Santiago people I'd do it. So they had their big football year-end banquet awards program, and I went as the HS Game Time anchor man. Santiago's had some ups and downs, obviously, this season. But I went in there hoping to, at least put a smile on their faces for one night, and they kind of let me into their inner circle, and I was able to share some of the, the ups and downs, the triumphs and struggles that they had this year. But it was a good time, and of course, there was a video tribute for Jordan Walker, and they talked about the fundraiser and stuff, and people shared stories about Jordan stuff. So he's, he's in the hospital, he's recovering, people are still praying for him, and we obviously wish the best for Jordan as well. So.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Just speedy recovery and just the fundraisers that they're doing. There have been so many community efforts to help the Walker family as a whole. It's it's definitely good to see the community coming together and continuing to. This happened about a month ago. It's not like it was the hot topic for a week and then everyone dropped it. People are continuously seeking to help, and it's a really good thing to see.
And as we saw with head coach Matt Logan, he still had the, Pray for Jordan teal and black bracelet on. I saw him have the teal ribbon on at the Bosco game on Saturday. And let's wrap up this high school football season, I guess, on this note, Kyle, because there's only one game left, Bosco and De La Salle's, the state championship games, not just the one game, but the state championship round. And I asked a couple of the Centennial players on Saturday night, how does this Bosco team that they lost to in the SoCal Regional stack up to maybe the De La Salle team that they saw from last season? So let's hear from Vianney Talamaival and also Robert Weber about this Bosco team, and as well as, what they have in their future.
They're an extremely athletic team, and, I wish them the best next week and bringing the title home to the South.
How would you compare maybe this team to like the De La Salle from last season? Or I mean they're good. They're ranked #1 in the nation. I mean, think they have a shot next week?
I think they do. I mean, their offense they have a good offensive line. Offense is high powered. Defense is really good. They're just really athletic everywhere. So I think it's gonna be an interesting matchup between them and De La Salle. I think they have a shot though.
Next up for you, USC, right? Are you gonna USC right for you?
Yeah,
you gonna enroll early or anything like that? Or?
No, I'll be enrolling in summer.
In summer?
Yeah.
You excited about that next
yeah,
chapter?
I'm excited. I mean, one chapter ends tonight, and then another one begins. So I'm excited.
Any similarities between how good they are and the De La Salle team you saw last year for the state title?
Yeah, they're similar. They're both fast, but I think De La Salle is more sound, more fundamental. Everyone does their job. They like to fly around a lot, so you get one here and there, but not too often.
Vianney Talamaival headed to USC. Robert Weber, someone's going to get a steal with this guy. He's a great quarterback. Not enough Division I schools are looking at him at this point. All right, but now we're switching to basketball. The great Geoff Gorham joining us on the show. The red-hot Nordivista Braves, right, Coach?
Hey, we're doing all right so far this year. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of hard work, but we're having a blast.
Now, Coach, you guys won the first tournament championship in school history, and you guys have been around for 53 years. Just talk about the emotion of that and doing something that no team in Nordivista history has ever done.
Well, my father was at Nordivista from 1969 to 1984. So I've kind of grew up watching Nordivista basketball my entire life. So, I've been around 43 years. Even when my father stopped coaching at Novi, I've always followed the program. And it's just kind of nice because I've seen 43 years of teams really compete really hard every year, never quite reach that goal. And to be a part of the first one was really special to me.
Coach, I'm sorry, you little horse from last night, screaming at the guys against Rim of the World?
I have a tendency to get a little intense out there on the court, but it keeps my kids focused. You got to coach from beginning to end, win or lose. You just got to make sure you're always into the game, and that's something I've always prided myself on and continue to do.
Coach, you guys were 0-21 2 years ago. Now I believe you're 7-2 so far this season. So, I mean, that's a pretty quick turnaround. How if someone were to say, okay, how did you guys do it? What would you tell them?
A lot of patience. I mean, it's tough when you come into a situation where, my principal, my athletic director, when they hired me, they said, hey, what are you going to do for us? I said, hey, it's going to take a couple of years. And it really did. It was the first year I was there, I told my assistant coach, I said, hey, be prepared. We're going to go over this year. And he kind of looked back at me. I said, hey, we're going to take small steps. We're going to start with freshmen and sophomores. I started 4 freshmen and 1 sophomore in my first year. We took our lumps. The next year we won 10 games, and then this year, we're 7-2. The kids are really buying into the program. I haven't had one kid quit in the last 2.5 years I've been there. So they've been dedicated, they've been patient, and it's kind of paying off. So it's nice.
I mean, the football team reached the CIA finals. I mean, you guys are going to reach the finals too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The baby steps, right, baby?
Yeah, it's baby steps. You know, the last league championship that Nordivista had was 21 years ago. You know, we'd like to say we can win a league championship. I don't know if it's possible, but you know, our goal all along for the last 2 years has been, you know, let's win some games and get in the playoffs. And it's been 20 years since they've been in the playoffs. So if we can just take that small step as, you know, get in the top 3 or make our, you know, get our record in so we can make the playoffs, that would just be, you know, that's icing on the cake. Really.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Harupa Valley won this league last year, right?
They did.
La Sierra.
Along with La Sierra.
Yeah.
But you already beat Harupa Valley this season.
Well, yeah, we beat them because, you know, my dad and my best friend are both the coaches at Harupa Valley. So, yeah, it's always nice beating your dad, your best friend. You know, they're down a little bit this year, but they're you know, they're 2 of the best coaches, I think, in the entire world, being my dad and my best friend.
Right?
And, you know, in our league, La Sierra, Justin Norman, who's my former assistant when I was at La Sierra, it's always nice coming and playing those guys. You want them to do well. You just want to do a little better than those guys.
So, I mean, you know the other coaches in this league really well. I mean,
I do. It's
you
rough.
know,
it's rough beating up on your dad or him beating up on me.
You know, good friends and, you know.
You know, and I also went to Ramona High School, so I have Jay Franklin over there, who's a really good friend, lifelong friend. So you do want to see those guys do well. You really do. And I look in the paper, I look on the internet every day to see how those guys are doing. And it's tough, but it's fun. It's the same, so.
Coach, Riverside's been a hotbed for basketball. King and North have been powerhouses across the entire southern section in recent years. You know, how important is it for you to get Nordivista onto a level where when people think Riverside basketball, Nordivista is one of the schools they think of along with a King or a North?
Well, you know, everybody likes to play above the rim. We play below the rim. I play, you know, the same 9 guys I have now are the same 9 guys I had, you know, 2 years ago. So we have built this program from the kids we have, which is nice. You rarely see that in today's, you know, high school sports because there's so many transfers and so forth. But we've become a cerebral basketball team. We play smart basketball. You know, if teams are going to zone us, we're going to outshoot you. If teams play us man-to-man, we're going to run our offense for 35 seconds until we at least get a good look to shoot. We don't have great talent, but we have pretty good basketball players. And it's nice to see the underdog kind of, you know, win some games finally with doing it the correct way, which is work hard, you know, go to school, and just pay attention and learn the game of basketball.
So would you say that's your identity, that cerebral style of basketball?
I think for these kids, yes, it is. You know, they put in a lot of hard work. Like I said, not one kid in our programs quit, and we were 0-21. I had one kid that had to step down because he was trying to go to Harvard, believe it or not. But other than that, the kids have bought into everything we've sold them, and it just shows across the board with our football team, our tennis team. You know, just across the board, Nordivista Athletics is we're like the working man's team, which is nice to see occasionally.
Now we're looking at some video of your win last night, 57-27, right? Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Against Rim of the World.
Oh, man.
There's you barking out some orders right there, Coach. You know what? That Felipe Gonzalez, he's a good player. You got some size. That Plenty Hawk. He's huge. I mean, did Bad Dorf try to get him for football? Did he play football?
Yeah,
he's a pretty good football player. His dad was an All-American at UCLA.
Oh, was he really?
He's a great athlete. But I only had him for one day. We had last week in our first tournament. He came out and says, "Coach, I want to play." And I really didn't have any big guys on the floor, so we put him in. And he's a big, giant body. He's kind of a Shrek-like guy, or you know, he's a stud.
Yeah.
Very good athlete, though.
Does he have basketball in his background, or he just?
He does. You know, he's the only kid in our program that came to us this year. He transferred in from Canyon Springs. He started as a freshman on their team last year, and I didn't even know he existed until about halfway through the football season. He comes up to me and goes, "Hey, Coach, I want to play basketball." And I said, "Okay, you're bigger than my 5'7" guy." So yeah, he's been a blessing.
Coach height, I
mean, he's been a blessing. He's a good team guy. That's, you know, I think the football element has really helped because they were so tight knit as a football team that he's brought that over to basketball. So he's been a big help.
Coach, realistically, how far do you think this team can go into the postseason or in even league play?
You know, I think in league play, I think we have a pretty good shot. You know, La Sierra, I think, is really the team to beat. They've got great athletes across the board. They're very well coached. And, you know, you look at Moreno Valley, who you never know what you're going to get because they do have such great athletes. Ramona, the same way, good athletes. Patriot has a really, really good player in Guglielmo that's going to be tough to stop. But I do think we have a shot to make the playoffs. That's been our goal, you know, for the last 3 years, to make the playoffs. And I think we have an outside shot to get somebody. I think we have a shot. You know, I love Justin Norman. I love those guys. But it would be nice to get a win against those guys. So,
yeah, it's not only league games, but like you said, you've got that close relationship with all these guys.
I know everything they run. So, yeah. You know, it helps that, you know, I've lived with my dad forever. My best friend, Mark Guard, I know what he runs. Justin Norman runs a lot of the same stuff that I've run, you know, in the past. And it's going to be fun.
Well, how often in basketball season, well, obviously your dad, I get your dad, you know, you talk to him all the time. But beyond him, like your friends, do you talk to them much during basketball season?
Oh, all the time.
Do you?
Yeah, in fact, I told them I was going to be on the show tonight, and they were giving me a hard time saying, just avoid the colorful metaphors. And I said, okay, I can do that. But, no, we talk all the time. You know, I have my heroes growing up. A lot of guys said, you know, they looked at movie stars. I look at guys like, you know, I looked at guys like my dad, Arlo Guard, who was at Riverside Poly, Mike Bartee. I mean, these guys, when I was a little boy and sitting on the bench with my dad, I wanted to be those guys. And so to this day, I'll call up Coach Bartee and ask how he's doing during the season. And he always, all these coaches always give me great feedback because they saw me as a 3-year-old, 4-year-old shooting around the courts every day. So I'm doing what I love to do, and I'm around the people I really care about. So it's nice.
So as a Riverside basketball lifer, I got to ask, what's the one moment in area of basketball history that really stands out for you?
Oh, I got a good one. Cheryl Miller scores 103, I think, against Nordivista.
Were you at the game?
No. I was over at the boys were playing. My dad's team was at Nordivista at the time. Cheryl scores 100, but our boys team at Nordivista beat Reggie Miller and his team the same night. Reggie had like 35. But we still beat him.
He got his, but you won.
Yeah. So as a kid, I always said, you know, Cheryl got 150 or whatever she scored, but Nordivista and my dad beat Reggie Miller, and that was the year they won the CIF championship. So that's always been a special moment for me.
Oh, that's a signature win right there.
It was awesome. It was awesome. And every time I see Reggie, I say, hey, Reggie, remember that game you lost? Yeah. So it's always nice.
You did so many great things, but let's talk about the game you lost against Nordivista.
Yeah, exactly. I bring it up every time. I bring it up to his high school coach, you know, Arlo Guard. Every time I see those guys, I let them know. So
sounds good.
Well, Coach Gorham, we really appreciate it. You spending some time here on the Blitz with us, and good luck going forward.
Okay, it's been fun. I really appreciate you guys, the work you guys put into the city, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Geoff. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach Gorham. Appreciate it.
There he is. Yeah, you know, basketball season's underway, and there have been a couple teams that have been a nice surprise early. I think Nordivista's got to be #1, going in and, you know, off to a 7-2 start. This was a team, like he mentioned, winless a year ago. Going from winless to, you know, 7 wins before Christmas in 2 years, that's something to be proud of.
That's quite the turnaround. And I don't know if you noticed, Kyle, Coach Gorham rocking the Jordans. Are those Jordans, Coach? They are Jordans. Look at that. He's got style, too.
Yeah, there you
Great
go.
Coach, and he's got some great style as well.
What do you always say? Look good, play good? So
yeah,
I guess look good,
feel
coach
good, play good. Yeah, exactly. There's a new saying. I have to get those printed on the shirt. All right, so once again, we got to thank Adrenaline Athletic Training here in Corona. They've been awesome all football season long as we make the transition into basketball now. And Coach Gorham, our first basketball guest of the season. So
hopefully one
our maiden
many.
voyage for basketball.
Yeah,
here.
you know, it's going to be interesting. We talked about it before. Teams from the city of Riverside are really having themselves a nice preseason. Riverside Poly won the Kiwanis tournament over Riverside Arlington, so an all-Riverside final there. We mentioned Nordivista's championship. La Sierra and King both have tournament championships, as does North. I mean, Riverside is really, you know, it's not just like 1 or 2 teams are having good years. Top to bottom, the city of Riverside could produce, you know, 5, 6 playoff teams. That's just among the big schools.
That's right, and we've actually got league play starting, right, for Riverside Poly. You want to talk about the Inland Valley and just kind of your thoughts? Last year, the Rancho Verde and North split the crown, but this year, maybe wide open. I don't know.
You know, I don't know if it's wide open, but I think the Inland Valley League is the deepest league in the area this year, and that includes what I expect to be a very competitive Big 8. I mean, you look, Riverside Poly is so much better than they were a year ago, and that wasn't totally unexpected. A lot of people peg them as a sleeper. J.D. Biltman is a bona fide stud. Arlington, you know, they were pretty competitive last year. They played Rancho Verde close twice and made the playoffs. They're going to be right back again. North and Rancho Verde every year are competitors, not just for a league title, but a CIF title. Then you add in Valley View and Vista del Lago, you know, 2 solid opponents that have played Arlington and Poly fairly well. I mean, this league, you know, there's 7 teams in it. 6 of them could probably make the playoffs because the way the divisions are set up, it's by enrollment, not by league. And you know what? Canyon Springs, I mean, I saw them yesterday. They had a nice win over Fohi. Depending on how they develop, you know, a long league season, they might pull off an upset or two. So, I mean, you're really talking about a league where it's going to be a war every night. That was the exact word that Canyon Springs coach Geoff Stovall said yesterday, a war. And I fully believe that.
And we're looking at some video of Riverside Poly defeating Arlington, excuse me, in that championship game of the Riverside Kiwanis tournament last week. Riverside Poly opens league play against the Rancho Verde on Thursday. Rancho Verde already owns a win against Valley View. I checked it out, Kyle. They won 51-46. So Rancho Verde, a team that we have a ton of respect for, very good. You can see Valley View played them tough. I mean, as you said, I mean, from top to bottom, this is a very tough league every single night. Absolutely.
I mean, I think the 5th place team in the Inland Valley League could probably beat the 2nd or 3rd place team in most other leagues in our area. I think it's just a deep league. Every team has, you know, 1 or 2 guys capable of putting up 25, 30 points a night. There's not a lot of big men. You know, we saw Khalil Fuller transfer out of Rancho Verde, and then Dorian Butler obviously graduate from North. So it's a very, very guard-heavy league. But all these guards they can create their own shots. They can distribute. There's good secondary scoring options. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
We love the Inland Valley because they do their own thing. They start league play ahead of everyone else. Even they did it for football just because of the amount of teams they have. But we caught up with Coach Mark Vanta after Riverside Poly won the Kiwanis last week, and we talked about, you know, what will be the keys for his team going forward into the Inland Valley League. And they've only got one senior, so Matt Slater. So let's hear from Coach Vanta real quick.
Defensively is where we're kind of hanging our hat this year. So we definitely improved defensively. We have a couple schemes in particular against teams, and we executed those in this tournament.
And just one senior, right? I mean, you guys are pretty young.
Right, we have a lot of returners from last year, juniors and sophomores mostly, and one senior. That's it.
Play next week.
Defensively is where we're kind of hanging our hat this year.
So Mark Vanta talking about defense. They're going to hang their hat on defense this season, and they're led by that one senior, Matt Slater, who's a good player, and they've got some, you know, underclassmen who are just as good, and they're going to be good for a couple of years to come.
You know, J.D. Biltzman is a really good, you know, left-handed guard. He's capable of shooting the 3-ball. He's capable of driving into the lane. He can create his own shot. He can, you know, make a nice pass out of a double team. He can do a little of everything. I think he's going to be the guy to watch for Poly. But once again, I mean, every team in the Inland Valley League has 2 or 3 legitimate scoring options, and then 2 or 3 other guys who hang their hats on defense. So I think this is one of those situations where I still think North is the clear #1. Rancho Verde is probably the clear #2. But, I mean, 3 through 7, toss them up, and 1 and 2, there's a very good chance they go down at some point during the Inland Valley League slate. You know, don't be surprised if, you know, the 4th or 5th place team has a win over the 2nd or maybe even the 1st place team this year.
That's the beauty of high school basketball. I love it when it's just a mess, you know what I mean? There's no clear-cut favorite. There's a lot of good teams, a lot of good basketball being played. Speaking of good basketball, you were at the Inland Empire Classic last night. Yes, you saw a heck of a game. I'm going to play it right now because we've got it was Santiago taking on Miller. And these are the last 3 plays, Kyle, that you got on iPad for us. Just walk us through. So Santiago had the big lead. Miller came back, right?
Santiago was up 38-26. Miller chips away. And then it's 52-51. Brandon Guerrero, Santiago makes a nice jumper with 30 seconds left. Miller comes right back down. A nice layup. I believe it was Marcus Anderson.
Yes.
And he gets the and one, makes the free throw to tie it. 54-54 with 15 seconds remaining. That was the first time Miller had it tied since halftime.
And then Santiago got the ball back, right?
Yeah, Santiago, you know, got the ball back. Nice inbounds play. Matt Herring hadn't made a field goal all game. Total off night. Drains a 3 from the corner with 4 seconds left to give Santiago a 3-point lead. Miller has one more shot. They don't get the ball. They don't get the shot off in time. Game over. Santiago pulls out a thriller.
My boy Matt Herring just waiting for that opportune time, you know, to make that big shot.
Yeah, you know, Santiago, I've seen him a couple times this year. They don't blow opponents out. It's not always pretty, but they seem to get the job done. They're 5-1 this year. They have a couple of real nice victories. Very diverse offensive attack. Brandon Guerrero, Matt Herring, Nate Barker, Brendan Merchant at 6'10" in the middle. They've got a lot of guys that can hurt you. And once again, we talked about the depth of the Inland Valley League. there's a chance Santiago finishes in 4th or 5th place. They could finish 2nd, but they could also be
brutal.
5th. The Big 8. I mean, with King looks great. Centennial's the top team in our area. Corona and Roosevelt are off to great starts. I mean, you're really looking at, I think, we talk about the Inland Valley League might be the deepest league. Total talent, the Big 8's the best league.
All right, now let's move on to girls soccer real quick before we wrap things up here. Now, we mentioned Temecula Valley last week, and they were off to a great start. Well, Kyle, they got even better. The Golden Bears now 7-0. They've outscored their opponents 41-0 so far.
That's insane. I mean, that's yeah. That's
I mean, at any level, any way you slice it, regardless of who you're playing, that's really good. They went out and they won the Heritage Tournament. That's what we're looking at now. Some video, excuse me, sent in as they won the Heritage High School Tournament last week. They beat Tockwitz last night 5-0, so they're on a roll right now. When you look at the Southwestern League, obviously you talk about Temecula Valley and how great they are, but Great Oak's another team that will be factoring in when it comes to Southwestern League titles.
Sounds like baseball. Temecula Valley, Great Oak. There you go.
You know what?
Battle for Temecula.
It does. Those Southwestern League schools, I don't know what they're not good at this point.
True.
From golf to swimming to football, I mean, they do a lot of things well. But Temecula Valley, I don't know what the record is, an inland area record for outscoring your opponents or how many matches you can go without allowing a goal. But 7 in a row, 41-0, it's pretty good, any way you look at it.
Definitely. So. I mean, we've talked about there's depth all across the inland area, really in every sport, and that's what's nice. I think anytime you have such a good population of athletes, there's schools everywhere from Rialto all the way down to Temecula capable of competing. But that Southwestern League, it is brutal. Soccer is very, very good out here, and it'll be interesting to see if Temecula Valley can keep it up. I'm sure they will allow a goal at some point, but it'll be fun to see how long they can go.
I'd be impressed if they could take this all the way into league play. I believe they have a tournament coming up called the Excalibur, which is there's a lot of good teams, a lot of those Orange County schools, so they'll really be tested. Sometimes it's good though to be tested in these non-league tournaments because
it's what you want, yeah.
These are schools you might see come playoff time.
And it just raises your level of play, because what you don't want to have happen is you blow out all these, lower tier schools, think you're really, really good, and then get a reality check. Even if that does happen, it's better to have it in December than in February.
All right, well, thank you for watching the Blitz. We really appreciate it, and a big shout out to Geoff Gorham, the head boys basketball coach at Nordivista, and Kyle, as we mentioned, the Braves off to a great start, making history. The first tournament title since when?
Ever. 1961's when the school opened. They never won one until this year.
And Gorham, a great guy, obviously a good talker, so we'll have to have him hopefully back on at some point. And then the great Matt Logan. Everybody knows Matt Logan, one of the most high-profile high school coaches in any sport, at any level, anywhere in the nation.
It's funny. Every time there's an opening at a premier high school, Matt Logan's name always comes up. I was on Twitter. Another reporter was saying if Matt Logan might be auditioning for the Rancho Santa Margarita job, with his game against Bosco. He hasn't.
Well, he's so good. Everybody wants him. I mean, that's a good problem to have.
Absolutely, and he's said repeatedly, over and over and over in print, on video, that he doesn't want to leave. He likes where he's at. There's no reason for him to leave, and we'll see. I mean, obviously, it can be hard to turn away certain jobs if they come up, but as of right now, Matt Logan is Centennial's coach. He's been that for a while, and I think a lot of people here hope that'll stay that way for a while.
Maybe Steve Sarkisian will go to the read zone and zone read offense, and he'll bring in Matt Logan to run that thing 4 wide.
I mean, well, we've seen Gus Mazzon, was a high school coach.
Yeah.
Had a shot at the college level and has been successful. It took a little while, but he's been able to do it, so it's not unprecedented.
We're not trying to push Logan out of Centennial, but I'm just saying, if there is a high school coach that can make that jump to, let's say, the college level, it's Logan.
There's always rumors. There was a rumor earlier, Arizona State's going to hire him. No, Mike Norvell's their offensive coordinator, who they just gave a $200,000 extension. So, that was an unfounded rumor. But nonetheless, I think it's quite the compliment. Anytime you're talking about, a high school coach being thought of as a college offensive coordinator or a college staff member, that jump is huge. That's it's talking about 2 different worlds. And I think that's just a compliment to Coach Logan, the job he's done. And don't forget his staff. It's not like he's been doing this all by himself. He's had a good, loyal staff.
And he keeps his guys around.
Yeah. And, we said it's okay. You're working for a winning program, and Coach Logan's a guy that everyone seems to like working with and working for. That's how you create a dynasty.
And that's exactly what they have at the Evil Empire, which they warmly embrace. They love the Evil Empire.
And it's funny because they're really not evil. Like,
they're not. They're actually really
there are
good.
some teams who are really, really good at all levels and just have this arrogance, this cockiness that kind of rubs people the wrong way.
Yeah.
You don't really get that at Centennial. The kids are nice. The coaches are nice.
Yeah.
Walk on the field. Hey, what do you need? All right, good to go. So it's hard to hate them. They're not really evil.
When Matt Logan's the face of your program, and we mentioned he's such a great guy off the field, yeah, evil's not the first word I think of when I think of Centennial
I don't even
football.
think it's on my radar.
All right, well, thank you for watching the Blitz. Big thanks to Adrenaline Athletic Training. And before we go, we're going to close out with the latest HS Game Time Anchorman skit. I had a chance to interview the Anchorman, Kyle, believe it or not. And he kind of recapped the high school football season for us. For Kyle Glaser, I'm Pep Fernandez, and we'll see you next time right here on the Blitz. Welcome to HS Game Time. I'm Pep Fernandez, and we are about to review the high school football season with the great Ronaldo Bergano. Ronaldo, great to see you again. Of course it is. Well, let's talk about the high school football season here on HS Game Time. It's High School Gamma Team. It has and will be called High School Game Time, not Gamma Team. Well, I've heard it both ways. Well, why don't we start here? Santiago quarterback Blake Barnett is headed to Notre Dame. Did you hear about that? I did. Notre Dame High School in Riverside. No, the University of Notre Dame, Ronaldo. Well, I've never heard of it. It must be some small up-and-coming program still building from the ground up. Notre Dame College. Now let's move on to Vista Marietta quarterback Colton Gerhardt. He had a great season passing and rushing the ball. Rushing like running the ball. Yes, that's exactly right. So you could say that running the ball runs in the family. Get it? Yes, Ronaldo, I get it. Because Toby ran the ball. Yes, I know. Now let's move on to Heritage defensive back Matthew Palmer. He had 10 picks this season. Guitar picks, right? No, picks like interceptions. Oh, interceptions. Well, I'd be more impressed if he played the guitar. I dabbled a little in my day, mostly air guitar. Well, HS Game Time Anchorman, what do you think of Centennial head coach Matt Logan wearing shorts deep into December as his Huskies won the Inland Division Championship and also played for the Open Division SoCal Regional? Well, I can only think of 3 people that wear shorts all the time. Centennial head coach Matt Logan, the guy that plays guitar in AC/DC, and SpongeBob SquarePants. You can figure out which one's my favorite. Okay, Ronaldo, now moving on. I'm going to say the name of a player or a school, and you tell me the first thing that pops in your head. Vianney Talamavao. Okay, he's a great player, but we haven't started yet. Let's start with Linfield Christian's Dallas House. Butt fumbles. Because he's related to Jets quarterback Mark Sanchez. You got it, genius. Redlands coach Jim Walker. His mustache, and it's glorious. Citrus Hill head coach Eric Zomalt. The Lord of the Rings. But he's not a hobbit, he's a man. 4 CIF rings, my precious. Vista Marietta quarterback Colton Gerhardt. Chanel Hoffman. Patriot quarterback J.D. Hernandez. Boxer Canelo Alvarez. They're twins, brothers from other mothers. Alex Rodriguez at Canyon Springs. I'd leave the Yankees too and play for Pete Garza. He's delightful. The Rancho Verde High School. I have no idea. No rosters, no stats. Quarterback Sharon Jones. Hercules, Hercules. Ramona receiver and punter Lorenzo Cabrera. He's kind of a big deal because I discovered him. Arlington quarterback Wyatt Moore. The old gunslinger. Tockwitz coach Dennis Gregovich. Remember the Titans. Just not the San Gorgonio game, okay? Well, thanks, Ronaldo. This interview is now finished. Finished? Like Harupa Hills finished as the East Valley Division champs? Yes, we're done. Done? Like you're done asking ridiculous questions now? Goodbye, Anchorman.
Welcome to HS Game Time. I'm Pep Fernandez, and we are about to review the high school football season with the great Ronaldo Bergano. Ronaldo, great to see you again.
Of course it is.
Well, let's talk about the high school football season here on HS Game Time.
It's High School Gamma Team.
It has and will be called High School Game Time, not Gamma Team.
Well, I've heard it both ways.
Well, why don't we start here? Santiago quarterback Blake Barnett is headed to Notre Dame. Did you hear about that?
I did. Notre Dame High School in Riverside.
No, the university